A thread by Carlos Osuita. Hat tip to Ian Miles Chong. He is correct. President Trump scared the hell out of him. Ian Miles Chong tweets, the White House siege is canceled. They're doing 50 days of nonviolent improv jazz instead. You couldn't make this up. Trump scared the hell out of them. Carlos continues, Trump recently said in a very offhand way that we're speaking directly to Iran. From the meeting, quote, Donald Trump says, and I even suggested wait until after the election to make a deal. Make yourself feel good, wait till after the election. Neither Trump nor the Arab nations want to humiliate Iran. Iraq is majority Shia, as is Iran. So those two countries will always have a close relationship. Sunni Muslims make up 90% of the religion. There's only one solution, and I predict that it'll happen. Al-Azhar University in Cairo, the de facto Vatican of Sunni Islam, will declare Shia Islam a legitimate branch of the religion. It has to happen. Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, has done things that I was told were not possible. He's reinterpreted the Quran. I was told that Muslims believe that the Quran is perfect, therefore it can't be reinterpreted. Islam relies on the Quran and the Hadith. The Hadith is a record of the words, actions, and the silent approval of the Islamic prophet Muhammad as recorded by humans. But both the Quran and the Hadith have glaring inconsistencies and contradictions to which the answer has always been, shut up. This is very understandable given the history of Muslim societies. The road has been very rocky. So the Saudis have an ingenious solution. Humans failed the prophet. They injected confusion. And now there must be a massive collaborative effort to eliminate these inconsistencies and contradictions in order to honor the prophet. It wasn't his fault. Everything needs to be updated. Similarly, Mohammed bin Salman said that these same fallible humans misunderstood Muhammad. Muhammad said to spread the word of Islam. With the advent of modern technology, the word has been spread. So Muslims need to stop worrying about it. And it's forbidden to force Islam on anyone. That dishonors the prophet, and all good Muslims must fight this human distortion of the holy words. Firebrand clerics are still firebrands in defense of tolerance. It's absolute genius. Militant tolerance. Look, these bastard terrorists are defiling our religion. Charge! This is all a work in progress. All that matters is results, and we're seeing them. The people doing almost all the fighting against Islamists, Muslims. And the Saudis are liberating women in the smartest way possible. By the time they're granted status as equal citizens, they'll be running the country. The huge mistake we made in Iraq was freeing people overnight. They were disoriented. The Saudis made emergency trips here to plead with us to not invade and overthrow Saddam, but we ignored them. All their most dire predictions came true. At the time, I thought they were just being tribal, but I was wrong. So I learned from my huge blunder. Now I listen to the locals. So does Trump. The Afghans and Taliban are still fighting, even as they have peace talks. This is what they do. They tried it with us, and Trump ordered the entire Taliban leadership killed. So now the fighting carefully excludes Americans. The Afghans now have Tier 1 special operators. Click this image and examine the dudes under a microscope. From voanews.com, Afghanistan's Special Operations Forces transition from division to corps. That was 2015. It is now the Commando Corps. The Afghan government is free to ask for help from whomever it wants. Tons of countries are willing to help. In recent fights, even regular Afghan cops and soldiers kill more Taliban than they themselves lose. And yes, I get this. You'll get plenty of American combat forces who were in Afghanistan who will say they're useless. They say that about everybody. It's a shtick. Results are all that matters. Countries are lined up to help Afghanistan. The point is, Trump talks to everybody. All these violent nutters, Antifa, BLM, got a little message. Don't do this thing at the White House. They came home, and their bed was in the kitchen with a smiley face pillow that had a note attached. This is why I have no patience for people who refuse to factor Trump into the equation. All analyses are laid out as if Trump doesn't even exist. How does this happen? Trump is the only one who matters. The Democrats don't matter. The press doesn't matter. Werner Voss was the greatest pilot in history. A German, he died in a World War I dogfight at the age of 20. Because he was Jewish and the son of a dyer, a man who applied dyes to textiles, cloths, he was ostracized by the Prussian aristocrats. This is a real German aristocrat. Karl Theodor Maria Nikolaus Johann Jacob Philipp Franz Joseph Sylvester Bullfreier von und zu Gutenberg. Voss's final aircraft was the Fokker DR-1 triplane. Because he was ostracized, he went out alone. He knew his luck would run out, but since he couldn't really get back up, he didn't care. His final fight took place on September 23rd, 1917. He was jumped by 7 British SE-5A fighters, vastly superior aircraft. And among the 7 British pilots were the Royal Flying Corps' 5 highest scoring aces. Voss didn't have a chance, but he stayed and fought. The Brits wrote in the after-action reports that Voss did maneuvers that nobody has ever repeated. When an aircraft got on his tail, he did a flat spin and flew tail first so he could fire at his pursuer. Got that? Voss's aircraft suddenly spun around and continued flying forward while facing backward. He spun his aircraft on 3 different axes so that he could fire at all 7 aircraft. He hit all 7, damaging 2 so severely that they dropped out, limped home, and never flew again. He basically made his aircraft do this while firing accurately. Eventually, the continuous storm of British fire hit Voss, and he leveled out, waiting. Arthur Rhys-Davids put a massive burst all the way down the side of Voss's aircraft. Voss continued flying straight, and Rhys-Davids gave him another massive burst, stopping Voss's engine. Voss nosed over and went into the ground. His body was found by the British the next day. He'd been hit by 3 bullets and had died after he pulled up and flew level. Rhys-Davids was deeply traumatized by killing Voss. He was unable to speak for hours and got blind drunk. When he finally emerged, he didn't want congratulations. "If only I could have brought him down alive," he said. The British buried Voss in a marked grave, but it was lost in subsequent battles. Now, Voss chose his end. He knew what he was getting into, but I couldn't have killed him. I know that my duty required me to, but I simply couldn't do it, which is why I never went into the armed forces. Here's a poem I want you to remember. There were many who went in huddled procession, they knew not whither, but at any rate success or calamity would attend in all equality. There was one who sought a new road. He went into direful thickets, and ultimately he died thus, alone. But they said he had courage. Stephen Crane. Be like Werner Voss and Trump. Always have courage. At some point, we meet our maker, but it's fine. Nothing to fear about it. All is well.